the fact that 2 people are now known to have died changes very little, except our emotions and our sense of loss.
Yeah, of course, and of course, just for the families of the victims. But you're absolutely right in terms of the police operation and the investigation.
Exclusively, I'm talking about the police operation.
Yeah, of course. It changes nothing, and all they will be thinking about right now is finding out: A, is this a lone attack, and B, if it isn't, how can they prevent a further attack? And every attempt will be made by all of the different agencies and all the different elements of the security services makeup to find out who this man is, who his connections are, what his background is, what his, has he been abroad? Where did he learn to do this? What's the inspiration? All this will be going on now at a frantic pace.
And I think, as one of our guests explained earlier or suggested earlier, some of the questions that we're tempted to ask at times like this do get filed under how long is a piece of string. So putting a time scale on when that kind of information may emerge is it's a fool's errand, isn't it? I think you have some reason to think that there may have been some admirable conduct on the ground in the immediate moment.
Yeah. So GMP, the thing that stood out for me is that they thanked a member of the public, and they said, "We are grateful to the member of the public whose quick response to what they witnessed allowed our swift action. And as a result, the offender was prevented from entering the synagogue." Listen, we don't know the details, but this suggests that this may be something more than a phone call. We know that the police response was extraordinarily quick. And what happened, the reason it may be quick is how in built-up city areas like Manchester, London, Birmingham, what have you, firearms officers are constantly patrolling the streets. They are just basically on shift, and they're making sure that all parts of the city is covered if something like this happens. And it suggests that a firearms team must have just been around the corner when this call was made, because that's an extraordinarily quick response. But they do this for a reason. I've been out with these firearms teams myself. A lot of the job is very mundane because you're just driving around waiting for that call to happen.
Right.
And if that call comes in, it all changes, and the response is extraordinary. They just switch from talking about what they're going to be having for dinner into these absolute machines. And
99 days out of 100, they won't be doing anything except having
more
dinner.
Than that, yeah.
Of course, thankfully, much more. That's a fascinating insight. I won't have occurred to many people listening. I'm sort of reminded of in some ways, the definition of some elements of public service, public duty, and indeed the public sector is that they are there in case we need them. But it's a good day when we don't.
Absolutely. But I've been along to the training of these firearms officers and the counter-terrorism firearms officers. It takes place in Gravesend, and what the instructors do and how they are taught to do what they do is they might just be having a cup of tea, and then all of a sudden everything will change and you will just hear shots out of nowhere.
Wow.
And then they will then have to respond. So they are constantly trained to just click into action in a moment.
To be on hypervigilance almost, high alert, constantly. On that subject, who and how is the decision taken to discharge a firearm, to actually shoot a suspect? So,
really, it's up to the officer. But what happens is they are in constant contact to a control room. The control room will send them there, and then the control room would have told the officers who were on their way there that there is a man that appears to be trying to get into a synagogue, and he appears to have what looks like a suicide vest. Therefore, I am authorizing you to shoot on sight. And it will be then up to the officer to make that decision. That's what they're trained to do. And what they're trained to do is shoot to kill. They're not trained to shoot to incapacitate. They're trained to shoot to kill.
That will be contingent upon the belief that he's wearing an explosive vest.
Yes,
and
absolutely.
As you suggested earlier, if it turns out not to be real,
That doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter at all for obvious reasons, but it is designed then because there's a desire to be killed.
Exactly, yeah. This happened at the Fishmongers Hall attack.
Yes.
This happened at the London Bridge attack, where all the attackers were wearing what appeared to be a suicide vest, yet when they were then shot dead, they realised that it was fake. And as I said, the majority of these vests are fake because the process and the complexities of actually making a live one is very hard to do.
Because it completely changes the complexion of the policing challenge, doesn't it? If that person is believed to be, as you say, potentially explosive.
Correct. It is a known tactic by terrorists that they will adopt to wear a fake suicide vest because they don't want to make it out of there alive.
What will be the situation on the ground? We spoke to Anthony. He painted quite a graphic picture, actually, of air ambulances flying into adjacent fields, fire engines turning up, police officers armed and masked patrolling the area. What will be their priorities at this point?
Well, the GMP have declared a Plato major incident. That basically is code word for respond as if it is a marauding terror attack. So it is... all resources will be being poured into this, and the obviously the first priority is to look after the victims. They are being looked after by the ambulance services and the paramedics, and then they will be looking straight away. Is this a one-off offence? Is this a one-off attack, or is this part of a wider plot? That's exactly what they'll be looking into right now.
And the people in the synagogue, the people in the congregation, as far as we're aware, the attacker didn't breach the building. That they'll be receiving care and concern. It's a strange scenario, Andy, because if the suspect has been shot, as is being reported, and if he was or she was a lone operator, then the threat level feels high, but it may actually already be over.
Yes, exactly that. But that is exactly the priority for the police at the moment. Is there more to come? They will be trying to find out who this man is, where's he from. They will be gathering intelligence right now to find out if he is a lone wolf or if he is part of a wider plot.
And if CTU were to assume leadership on this, when might that happen? When might we expect counter-terrorism officers to assume the lead on an investigation like this or an operation like this?
It usually happens within the first hour or two that it will be passed to counter-terrorism police.
And that would be announced. We'd find that out fairly quickly.
Yes, it would. I mean, I'm constantly checking my phone right now because I'm kind of waiting for an update. I text a source just before I came on air, and they told me that it is still with Greater Manchester Police at the moment, and counter-terrorism policing are not leading this at the moment.